Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew and today we're doing another figure comparison. Today we're doing a figure comparison between, I guess, the last of the versions for the legendary Godzilla, not counting 2014, which we have the original V1 Godzilla and of course, the evolved Godzilla bootleg from, well, AliExpress, I suppose. But he's supposed to be based off Godzilla Khan, the New Empire. We already did version 2 and version 3, so we're going to be comparing him with version 1. Couldn't think of it, he should have been first, but whatever. We're going to be doing another 7-rounder, skeleton paint articulation, size, accessories, price, availability, and packaging. And do keep it in mind that, there is again a lot of differences, so that's what we're going to be primarily focusing on. Starting off with the sculpted details and paint, again, they basically share the same mold. It's abundantly clear that this one, because I got this guy pretty good quality, because I remember there was a few of them that had like really bad painted gums and teeth and eyes. I got pretty good. Like, my copy's really well done. The eyes are centered properly, the gums are painted properly, teeth are painted good, everything about it's pretty good. And then we have this guy who has, standard kind of charcoal black coloring for the base plastic, pink in the tongue, pink in the gums, literally all the same pink, no variety. Same type of eye placement. Well, not same type of eye placement, but the eye placement here is looking more forward in the socket. And it also features the standard like pink lining that you see on Godzilla Evolved, meant to look like the spikes. And also features some sculpted in teeth, but they are not painted. Versus this one, which pretty much has all of that painted in different colors too. So the tongue is a different color to the gums, and the overall detail of the head is very different as well. Like, we just have all this like different coloring on, especially like the spines, where this one's like pink, and then we have like the gills here highlighted. They're also highlighted on the original, but it's abundantly clear that the original just pulls it off a lot better than the version this bootleg does. Here we have the arms, and I gotta say, again, it's abundantly clear which one does it better, but it's not as clear cut as it once was. Here we have the version 1, where it actually does have a lot of this great sculpted details, and it honestly does a lot of things really right, and has a lot of paint varieties, because like the darks and the lights just highlighting it all together. And then you have the painted on claws, which could be a little bit better, maybe some more shading, because they are kind of just slapped on, but hey, that's alright for what was essentially a $20 figure. Versus this one, where it does retain that kind of black matte plastic, and it also features some silver dry brushing, which again, when I opened it, I was not expecting silver dry brushing, but it looks so good. Like, it really does look very well done. Here we have some of the sculpted details on the stomach and kind of like the groin and the front of the legs region. And again, the version 1 just does it like a bit more clean looking, and it just looks a lot more widespread and evened out, because you just have that like real olive green just highlighting all the signature bumps and details and crevices, and it looks really well put together, and actually has some dark highlights, or maybe that's just the base plastic. I think it's just the base plastic, and the olive green is actually the highlights, but it still looks really good either way. Here, however, again, it's like an opposite effect here, where it's darkened, and then it also has like the lighter kind of like dry brushing throughout the rest. But I will say again that it's a lot more better spread here than it is here, because here it doesn't have as much as it does here. You see that really thick patch of silver right between my fingers? Yeah, that's not too much on here. There's a little bit right there, but not too much. And next we're going to go on to the legs, which again, here we have a lot of the nicer details that are found on the body, as opposed to just being smoothed out, which I do appreciate. And I mean, at least it's not like the Playmates Godzilla, which is just all smoothed out anyway. it actually features a lot of the nicer sculpted details, and you can really just see all the nice bumps, cracks, and crevices with the darker plastic underneath and the lighter wash to give it to just give it this nice looking effect. And as well as the nails are just really painted well. A little bit of highlights would have been a little nicer, but I mean that's okay. Versus this one where we have a bit more of like that silver wash highlighting the much more darker plastic that's used. And while there's nothing on the claws themselves, the overall wash of the figure does not look bad in the slightest, honestly. And taking a look at the tails here, we can definitely see that again, the version 1, it just looks more quote unquote realistic because it just looks a lot better as far as like the application itself goes. The fins are just molded a bit nicer and the paint's not as splotchy as compared to the pastry tail we have going on here. And it just overall just looks a lot better as opposed to like, well, just to give you guys a bit more, it actually goes all the way around. You do lose a bit of like the more caked up detail you see at like the top versus like the more tip of the tail, but it still looks really good. Versus this where it's all splotched on with white bits. Again, looks more like a pastry, like a cake or cupcake or whatever. And then you come down here, there's a bit of the pink sprayed over, and then you have more of the silver lining that goes on the bottom. Had it just been the silver lining, I think I would have been fine with that. But they went the extra mile to give this thing an honestly a not so well done pink. So honestly, it's fine for what it is. And lastly, we're gonna take a look at the dorsal plates, and I honestly just have to say the dorsal plates just again, there's so much differences between them. Even though they're the exact same mold, the fins on the original just beat the new evolved bootleg any day of the week. They have like such a nice wooden look like texture, and it just looks more organic and more accurate to what we saw in the film versus this, which looks nothing like the new Empire design, by the way. Even though this is the technically the pre-evolved new Empire design, but it's not the evolved new Empire design. But it just is so well done here and just has so much more of that dry brushing and the color variety versus this where it's just pink and white. And the white doesn't even look that good. It honestly just looks too glossy for my liking. Maybe I'm ragging on this a little bit because I stayed pretty positive about it, but it's just the comparison just makes it so bluntly obvious that which one is the winner. So overall, I honestly have to say, as far as like sculpting paint goes, I do like his dry brushing and I do like the intention of paint apps because like it's abundantly clear that they wanted to give this thing like a much more refined feel as far as like the paint job goes on the fins because I definitely see what they were trying to do, but it's just not done that well, especially with like the eye paint, how goofy it just looks. Like one of the eye sockets I think is actually kind of caved in. Yeah, that's definitely caved in a little bit. Versus this one, which just all the things right, and honestly, it just really shows how much better in cleaning of quality the original NECA brings to the table versus the bootleg. Again, this is actually a really good bootleg as far as sculpt paint goes, but it doesn't really compare to the originals whatsoever. So, gotta hand it to the NECA here, even though it's not a competition; it's more just a general figure comparison. Next up, articulation. Now, we're going to go over the bootleg first because, again, I feel like it's practically similar, like pretty much almost the exact same. So, first up, hinge at the jaw. I've already covered this in my figure comparison of the V3, but in between the recordings, I actually took the jaw, squished it down, like squished it inside the socket, and that allowed me to get a bit more of a tighter hinge. Which, why I didn't think to do that sooner is beyond me, but hey, it works. Yay. So we have nothing in the head, although that's not necessarily true. There was a ball joint in the head where it plugs in into the neck. However, because of the way it was packaged, because I didn't order it with the box, the head was snapped out of the pretty much snapped right out of the gate before I even opened the thing. So Because like I know I was not the cause of it. It was probably damage in shipping, although it was a very thick piece of bubble wrap. So I don't know. Like maybe it was snapped at the factory, and they sold it to me anyway. So, I mean, hey, at least they glued it on, so it's all fine. Neck is probably a ball joint like this one is, but there's nothing, no movement whatsoever. Like I can't even get this thing to move an inch. Like I can get a little wiggle out of it like this, but that's literally about it. Moving on down, we're actually going to get the V1 out of the way here. Shoulders can go up and down, just like so. And you can kind of go in and out, forward and back. All the good stuff. All of that good stuff. I really like what we have here. It's definitely not like the most range, but again, it's fine for what it is. Shoulders have hinges, but no swivels. I know that sounds weird because the hinge should plug into the bicep on a ball joint, a swivel peg, but unfortunately, due to the way the hinge itself is positioned, you're not going to be able to get that swivel. I mean, you can probably get it, but like, I'm feeling a lot of resistance here. And at a certain point, you know, you just got to wonder, is there even really a swivel there? And here, there's no swivel hinge like there was on the original, but it's just a blatant swivel. Like, there's no ball joint here for the wrist. There's no hinge for the wrist. It's just a basic rotation. Actually, if I wonder if I would peg it off. Actually, no, I don't think I should peg it off just yet. But you can definitely see what I mean by, like, a bit more limited of posability. The ab crunch does not exist. We have, like, what, a few millimeter? It's not even a millimeter. It's, like, I think even my V2 Godzilla had more range than this. But we do get a fine rotation. It's nothing, like, over the place. I mean, we can kind of go from here to here. You might as well just not have it. Leg joints look pretty good. So you can kind of go forward and back like that, in and out the socket. Forward and back at the knee. There is a bit of a swivel here at the knee, but again, keep in mind that the hinge is like splitting every time you do so, so you pretty much run the risk of breaking this thing every time you rotate it. Ball joints at the feet can move pretty well. Very nice there. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 segments. And you can go all the way around, come down if you really want to, go up if you do so wish. Pretty much all the works for a very fully ball jointed tail for a NECA Godzilla, even though this is a bootleg. Version 1 definitely has a lot better quality, so we're just going to go ahead and kind of breeze through this a little bit. Hinge jaw. For what it was, mine was stuck out of the box too, except like I was able to loosen it up, probably just a quality control issue on NECA's part. Ball joint here at the head, which I can actually get some good range out of. That kind of makes me wonder if this one didn't come broken, how much range could I gotten out of it? Really good range here at the neck, because like there's actual like you can actually kind of get a swivel, and I did push it beyond it once. However, I did run the risk of scuffing the paint, so I'm not gonna do that. Again, ball joints here at the shoulders, a little bit more tight, but I mean still get a good swivel out of it. Swivel hinges at the elbows, so you can kind of go like that and rotate nicely. There we go, swivel hinges at the wrists, so you can actually see that there is in fact a swivel hinge, like a hinge right there, versus here where there is not a hinge. They actually just kind of cleared up the plastic from the looks of it. There we go. We have a bit of a better ab crunch here, so you can kind of crunch up and down, side to side, and you can actually spin this thing all the way around if you really did so wish. Ball joints here at the legs, so you can kind of go in and out, forward and back, kind of sliding in, and then you can kind of take it and then slide it back in to the socket if that's not what you want. You can kind of go straighten out at the leg, bend in at the leg, or sorry, the knee, and you can kind of ball joint swivel at the foot, and then you have the same 10 segments. They're cut the same way. I'm feeling a bit more. Which tail actually has a bit more flexibility? I think the bootleg has a bit more flexibility than the original, but that's merely only because of the way the plastic is used. And for what it's worth, I think the version 1 kind of like holds its pose a little bit better, so really, I think the quality of their articulation is just really down to you. But personally, again, it's just a matter of a personal preference. So, pretty much aside from the arms, nothing's really changed. Here we have sides, and they're pretty much the exact same size. Length, pretty much the exact same. Uh, I know this one seems a little smaller, but that's only because it's hunched a little bit more. And, it's just proportionally, again, they're the exact same size. There's absolutely no difference to it. However, what there is a difference is in terms of something is the accessories. And this one, well, actually, version 1 doesn't really come with anything, which I personally kind of find a bit of a bummer because all the other King of the Monsters figures come with something, with the exception of Burning G, but I feel like they could have came with like Argo or something. Maybe like a little stand with the Argo on it. I feel like that could have been nice. Wouldn't like jacked up the cost at all for a $20 figure. But what this guy comes with is a bit of a heat ray and an impact base, which I'm actually tried it. I don't think. Does it work with this one? I mean, it should. I don't see why it wouldn't. And it does work. Don't know why I'd want this in his mouth, but yeah, essentially just plug it into the mouth here, and there you go. Just slide this on, and there you go. You're all good to go. Even though it doesn't really connect. Next up is price, and here's where things get a bit tricky. Both of these things, well, actually just him, he doesn't have an MSRP or a retail price. Because he's a bootleg, they can pretty much fluctuate in price, and you can kind of call it not reasonable, but a decent, like, an average price, I guess. From what I'm seeing, these things retail for about like $20 to $30 before shipping on AliExpress. That's how much I got them for. Versus this guy, where he was about $20 at AliExpress. So really, sorry, AliExpress. You'd be buying a bootleg if you bought this guy from AliExpress. At like retailers like Walmart, Target, and Toys R Us when they were still in America. So really, it all depends on like what you look them as. Next up is availability, and again, this guy has been discontinued, unfortunately, and this guy is completely flooding eBay's and AliExpress's all across the place. I've seen listing after listing of this guy, marketing this guy as official. He's not. He's a bootleg. Your money will not be going to Toho or Legendary whatsoever. Then again, if you buy him nowadays, your money won't be going to any of those companies either, so really, the availability is which aftermarket do you guys find them like more common in? I honestly think that he's a bit more common than him, just only because NECA only produced these things in like limited quantities per time. This thing, bootleggers can bootleg this thing till the cows come home. Like that's pretty much what we're looking at here. And the last part is packaging. Now, I would bring out the box, but I don't have his box anymore, and this guy never came with a box. But I think I've done enough exclamation to the point where you guys already know what the boxes of these characters, well, of what these figures actually look like. And if you don't, just look it up. It's literally Google search away. They share the same box layout, except his red box, which is kind of more in line with the Shin Godzilla box. But essentially, that's literally the only difference. And so that's basically it. There's really no like scoring here, but if I had to pick like a figure that you should buy, if you want something that's official and of quality, go with him. No questions asked. Like every time you buy something from AliExpress, you're not always guaranteed the product that you see. And I've seen it primarily with the reviews. Like I've seen a few of these variants floating around because there's actually two variants. There's this one, which has the which I think the most two notable difference is the paint on the head and the paint on the legs. This one has the painting on the head, but not the legs. Well, the other one has no paint on the head, but also has the veins on the legs and arms. So really, there's actually a few variants floating around, which I do appreciate, I guess. But it does seem like over the years, these things are probably going to be highly sought after. So if you can find a NECA Godzilla for like, say, I would say $30 to $50, maybe 60 at bare max retail, then pick it up. It's worth the purchase. If you want like a bootleg Godzilla, because like let's be honest, some of us like bootlegs and pick this one up. Again, it's all down to your personal preference. I think you'll be getting a solid action figure, maybe not so much solid for this guy, but solid enough for this one that you'll be satisfied. With that being said, thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys liked it, definitely subscribe to the channel. Believe in Jesus, accept him as Lord and Savior today for the gospel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, everyone. God bless.